Teleport.
Hey, so for anyone wondering, Sung does survive because he's in Advent Children, which I saw like once back when it first came out. Does anyone remember when Advent Children was coming out and copies of FF7, which, by the way, is an extremely high print game. Like, it's not rare, but at all.
It sold like 10 million copies, like literally.
But for like a 6 month to a year span when that movie was getting made, FF7 was going for $70-$80.
It's a top priority matter.
So
and
it was
and then the movie came out and it sucked balls.
All I remember from it is Sephiroth is E-P-I-C, epic, epic, epic.
I wonder why FF7 is such an amazing game, but all the extended universe entries are all terrible.
It's because they tried, like... Ooh, this looks really nice. Wow.
Yeah. Now, obviously, emulation helps, because it upscales everything. But I think in general, when this game came out, it looks pretty nice. If you stare at textures, they don't look very good, but it's a PSP. Dude.
Sometimes you just need to let stuff die. It's like, they try so hard to, like, reach the, marks they did for the original game, and they end up with just a bunch of, like, silliness.
Yeah. Now, I can understand why Crisis Core has, like, a compromised plot, because, like we talked about, prequels can't really do anything that impacts the story heavily, and if it's a prequel that takes place so far in the past that none of the characters are there, then it's basically an entire new story. It's barely a prequel. It's basically like a Castlevania prequel where it's like, oh, it's another Belmont doing something, and other than
I wish there was
the PS2 one.
I wish there was a different word for it, where it's like a prequel would be something that still takes most of the characters you know, and just starts it earlier. But like, like for instance, Lufia 2 is a prequel, but I think it takes place like hundreds, if not thousands, of years before.
Yeah, like Dragon Quest 3, I remember you saying that on the list, and that's another one that just takes place so far in the past.
So it's like, is it a prequel? I guess. Like, would you say Ancient Egypt is a prequel to, like, the US the way it is now? Like, I know that's a weird one, but that's, like, how I'm thinking about it when, like, you do a prequel of something from thousands of years ago. It's like, okay.
Okay, so I want to talk about Dragon Quest. If you care about Dragon Quest story at all, this is heavy spoilers.
Spoilers, lads!
But Dragon Quest IX, the newest one that just came out, is a prequel to Dragon Quest III, and basically the ending of that game is that they have to, like, reset the world, and the reset world at the very end shows the hero from Dragon Quest III, like, waking up in his bed. And that's a prequel where it takes place, like, so far in the past that it kind of doesn't matter, but also heavily affects things as well. And when I saw that ending, I'm not even super familiar with Dragon Quest, but I really like Dragon Quest IX. I think it's one of the best RPGs on the PS4. But I found that ending so cool.
Why are they showing cutscenes in the middle of a battle?
Oh, I can see that. Dang. Huh. So yeah, when they show cutscenes and like those little screenshots, it's supposed to like show you the memories that you have with the character. But the really awkward thing about this game is that Zack does not really interact with characters that much, because obviously he's a soldier operative, and a lot of characters don't really care about Zack that much. I mean, Angeal just betrayed us, and he's been on screen for 30 seconds. Genesis is a soldier first class, and you don't even know anything about him before you betray soldier. The only characters that you really see that are pretty important are like Eris, and that's it.
Oh yeah, because you get to date Eris. Nice. Me.
Did I equip Thunder Materia? Doesn't matter if I don't.
Lightning and the thunder.
Now, unfortunately, something about this game that I really don't like is that you know that the PSP only has one analog stick, and when you're out on the field, L&R controls the camera, but when you're in battle, Eleanor controls what attack you use or what material you use. So when you're in battle, you cannot control the camera whatsoever, and it can get pretty awkward pretty fast. So I was talking about settings.
Damn, Thunder takes more than that big limit break
so
thing.
Already, like, it's just worthless.
Why do you have double the HP to your maximum?
So when you get these things, the numbers will increase that value by whatever number you get
7.
times whatever.
Okay.
So, cool, I get to see this again. Hey, you know about speed up on emulator?
Paste! I would literally use that all the time.
So one thing about the remake that took me a while to get used to, because I was thinking about this game so much, is in this game, when you're dodging, every single frame that you're in the dodge, you're invulnerable to all damage. But in the remake, you don't have any invincibility frames when you dodge. So the first 10 hours I was playing the remake, I was like, why isn't this dodge working? Like, I hate this dodge so much. It's because I was thinking about this game. I was like, oh yeah, the dodge in this game's amazing.
The technology was stolen from our scientists. Huh? It apparently allows Genesis's abilities and traits to be transplanted to soldier members and monsters.
Soldier and monsters were the same.
I'm gonna sound really like an old man gamer when I say this, but like the backgrounds, the way they look, like is really. I don't need things to look better than this as long as the game's super fun.
I will, in general, agree. Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
I wish the characters, like, when you're talking, like, I wish they looked, like, a little more... I wish it looked like it did during, like, these standard scenes, you know, where, like, they have, like, the mouth move. Like, this is fine enough for me. If there was a game that was super long and super fun like this, that looked like this, I would be fine with it. I would never need better graphics. Especially if games came out 10 times freaking faster.
Yeah. And I will say that Final Fantasy VII, when it wants to be, looks gorgeous in some areas. And, I mean, every cutscene is, like, animated well. Even, like, the automated, like, machine lip movements that are automated look pretty decent. I mean, obviously there's a lot of work put into there. But, like, you just think about, like, how much of the budget was just for the visuals and, like, the cutscenes. And it's probably like 90%. Like, let's not kid ourselves.
Go find Angeal's house.
I know that these are all different types of games, but Capcom put out a friggin' Mega Man game every year for 6 straight years, and they're all more or less pretty damn good. You know? Or even the X series, they came out pretty much every year.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're super fun.
Now, I don't want a Final Fantasy every year, but I think a Final Fantasy every 2 to 3 years would be nice.
Fine.
Which I guess in general is what they've tried to do. I mean, not in the past 10 years, but it's just so disappointing when like Final Fantasy 13 had an infamously long development cycle. And like the game comes out and a lot of people don't like it. And it's like, well, they put all that time and effort into a product that people don't really like. And when's the next game coming out? Oh,
it's a sequel.
Final Fantasy 15 came out in like 2015, which was like 7 years after 13. So,
wasn't Final Fantasy 13 Versus? Didn't that end up being 15? Like, I remember 13 Versus was a thing for a long time.
Yeah, Versus 13 ended up being 15. And
Based.
Yeah, Nomura was originally on the project for Versus 13, but he got kicked off.
Based.
And then actually the director of this game, I think his name is Tabata, he ended up directing Final Fantasy 15. And it really seems like Nomura didn't like how 15 ended up. It's hard to explain why, because it's like sort of Kingdom Hearts related, sort of not. But basically, the most recent DLC for Kingdom Hearts 3 called Remind had a cutscene at the very end as a teaser.
Nice.
Ooh. And it was, and I'm not exaggerating, it is a 1-by-1 carbon copy of the original Versus 13 cinematic trailer, but with a different character. And you can, if you want to look it up on YouTube, you can see the analysis that the Versus 13 trailer and the Remind ending cutscene are exactly the same framing, the same timing, everything about it. So, like, you just think about, like, why that is, and it's like, huh. That's so weird.
Because he was mad?
He was, like, mad being kicked off that project.
I hate...
Greetings, ma'am.
I think we talked about this before.
Are you Angeal's mother?
But, like... corporate bigwigs in suits and stuff like that, we'll just call them the suits, like, everyone dislikes them, but, like, they are necessary in certain ways, because if you just have an artist and you're like,
excuse me?
Make this thing, and no one's gonna be breathing... What the heck?
My son wrote to me once about
Sorry,
you.
lads.
Rip.
0 attention span. Restless as a little puppy.
That's me.
Oh, thanks, Angel.
Please fix itself.
Nope.
You're
Nice.
not here together
But, like,
with Genesis, are you?
If you have just an artist and you're like, work on this thing, you're gonna check on them a year later and they'll be like, oh, so we had it done, but then I wanted to add a million things to it and just, like, give my, like life's work out there, and you'll be like, cool. And of course, if you have just the suits come in, they'll be like, make us profit and only profit. So you have to have, like, a mix between. But clearly, this Nomura guy needs, like, he needs, like a partner who's more of, like, a by-the-book, like, we need to meet deadlines, we need to be reasonable, and, like, he's just clearly not like that, you know, with everything I've ever heard about, you know.
Also, I remember reading an article that the original build for Final Fantasy VII Remake was completely scrapped and they started anew.
Cool.
I'm pretty sure that is true, but you might want to fact check me.
But it's
YouTube land.
It's just like, that's why a lot of partnerships work well when there's one, like, dreamer and there's one, like by the books person. Because the dreamer can have all the ideas and the by the books guy can be like, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad, that's good, you know, kind of thing.
I'll take care
Lol.
of Angel. You should go and hide somewhere.
I like how sometimes it'll just be like, it'll just pop back and you're like, ah, hello.
Yeah. I do remember this cutscene, the first time I watched it on my PC, was pretty bad. In general, they're pretty fine. I don't know why this one is bad.
I don't know.
It's like nothing is happening.
It doesn't even matter, yeah. You visit his mom and his mom's like, heh.
Yeah, and it's more like a set piece for the Buster Sword. Hey, look at it. It's the Buster Sword.
See it?
Remember that weapon that Cloud used?
Mm-hmm. Based. Pick it up.
And it's like, what's the deal with that? Zack, went in the flashbacks in Final Fantasy VII, Zack has the Buster Sword, so why is he using this stock soldier sword? What's the deal with that, huh? Oh,
5 gil.
I feel bad for robbing that woman.
Ooh, 5 gil, huh? Are there any games except for Link's Awakening where, like, when you take stuff out of random chests that, like, that like someone says something or you get in trouble or whatever? And the only reason it's in Link's Awakening is if you steal stuff from the shop, which isn't quite the same thing. So that's my question to the part, lads. Is there any game where, like, when you walk around just taking random chests, that they'll be like, maybe I shouldn't take this, or the person's like, hey, there's an example, I know it happened before in a game where, like, you go to take a chest and the guy's like, stop that, but I don't think I'll ever be able to think of it.
I've definitely played at least 1 or 2 games where it does it.
And it might be only one chest where you go into, like, a room, oh, you know, FF7 kind of does it, where you find, like, Tifa's, like, underwear, but that's more of just like a silly thing.
There's also the one where in Wall Market, her final limit break.
Oh yeah, where you try to take it and it just breaks, or the gun shoots at you.
Yeah, the gun shoots you.
Yeah,
but that's sort of different. It's kind of.
There's definitely a game I'm thinking of that does it, where it's like you go to take something and the guy's like in the house and he's like, "Don't take that." But I'll unfortunately, that one, like, that'll come to me like 6 months from now where I'll be like, wait a minute, that's what it was.
Yeah, so I'm going to do this mission. It shouldn't be too much longer than like 15 minutes, and then we'll call it apart.
How long is this game?
I don't think it's...
Ooh.
I don't necessarily think it's that long. I'm hoping that with me doing most of the story and maybe like one sit down for the optional super bosses, hopefully like 8 sit downs. So it's still long, but definitely like not nearly as long as Spencer's like 2-year run of playing FF7.
Yep, that was very long. That was one also where the only thing I could do off screen is like grinding.
Trying to avoid encounters, and it totally worked. So you see, I just kind of hug the wall, and it just does not touch the encounter spawns, which is pretty cool.
Heh. I'm sung.
Genesis's parents were in that grave.
Wait, his own family?
We can't expect reason from him. What about Angeal?
He wasn't at the house. But please, give me time. If I find
Okay,
Angeal,
here's a next question of the part.
to him. If I can convince
And I'll ask this to
Angeal
Trev as well.
that Genesis
What
will
is the
come back
one
too.
game you would like to see get a remake?
I understand now why Sephiroth chose you.
And
Genesis and Angeal.
it can be anything. It can be, you could be
Those two
like
were
as old
Sephiroth's
as
only
Atari,
friends.
as new as
He didn't
I
want
guess
to
like
fight them.
PS3.
That's why he refused the mission.
Well, Angeal is my
There's
friend
a
too.
lot of games I love, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I would not want to see them remake.
So in general, I do not like remakes, and in fact, I think
Time is short.
other than
Let's
Resident
go.
Evil 1, and maybe something else that I can't think of, I think in general remakes are always worse than the original. But I'm just trying to think of something that had a limited scope that was affected by
Technology at
technology,
the time. Right.
and would be an objective improvement.
Okay.
But for instance, like Final Fantasy VII is like one of the most like primitive games in terms of technology, because basically you're looking at a pre-rendered JPEG over a screen with very primitive 3D models running over those JPEGs. But it's fine. It's completely serviceable. Final Fantasy VII is
Well, you need
a
one,
million more locales than the remake. And
you need one where the literal gameplay of it is affected.
yeah.
And so I'm gonna say
I would say like probably like some game in like the PS2 era, probably.
I'm gonna say Clock Tower, because
Clock Tower would be a good one.
having I don't even care about the graphics. Obviously, I mentioned I'm not a graphics person, but having like more chances for Scissorman to show up, a longer game,
Yeah. Now I also do think
more
that
scenarios, of course.
Clock Tower is a very scary game. Hello. Okay. My controller like disconnected for a second.
Rip.
Clock Tower, the original one, is very unsettling in terms of atmosphere because it's so silent and like so I don't know how to explain it. And I feel like if it got a remake, unless it was someone that really loved the original, would maybe get it wrong. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
I'm being like
No, I will say in all these situations, it would have to be done out of love. Like, obviously to make money and whatever, but, like, you would have to find someone who, like, I'm not gonna lie, if you got the team that was making PT, like, I would accept that for, like, a Clock Tower thing. Like, if you could make it like that, like, whatever, that'd be awesome. There's a couple games that I'm just thinking of that, like, I'm just like, remakes would just ruin them, you know? Like, Mario RPG would be ruined with a remake.
and would never happen because Square Enix is a piece of butt.
Hey,
And Nintendo's a piece of butt.
Mega Man 1 got a remake, and no one remembers it. Powered Up for the PSP.
Powered Up is cute, but it's just so... Dude, there's so many weird remakes on the PSP if you think about
Here's
it.
one. Here's one I honestly think. I've never played the game, but everything I've heard, Panzer Dragoon Saga, even getting an HD remaster, would be a great
Yes.
thing for the video game world. Because apparently that game's amazing, but no one can afford it because it's like $1,000 freaking bucks.
Also the Saturn. Even, I can go back and play PS1 games, like random PS1 games if they're not complete crap. But the Saturn is like even more primitive than the PS1 in terms of 3D anyway.
But everyone swears by that game also being amazing.
Yeah.
So Panzer Dragoon Saga, even I'm not talking a full FF7 remake, just HD textures would be fine. I'm also too, like, I literally would, if I wanted to play that game, I would have to emulate it. I'm literally too scared to use the discs.
So-
you know what I mean? Like, I would never do that.
Here's Genesis, and I can explain his character with one attribute. You know about the
Edgy.
the poster for Loveless in Midgar? He quotes excerpts out of it, out of
The
Loveless.
grave at the
Cool.
house.
And that's all his character
found the
is.
remains of our people.
He doesn't have a
Well,
character, he just says stuff.
It didn't take much to have them send false reports. Just some mild threats.
They would have done that anyway. At least your parents would have.
Heh.
My parents betrayed me. They had always
I like his
betrayed
shoulder
me
pads.
from the very beginning.
In terms of a new Nomura design, it's
What do
not
you
too
know?
bad. It could be way worse. Dang. That's convenient to get him out.
Sung is dead. It's all over. Slow. I'm gonna try to give one or two more. See, a lot of games I like are just fine the way they are.
Partner.
I want to say,
I see.
but
You finally.
they
made
would also
your
mess it
decision.
up. I want to say like Gunstar Heroes would be
wishes,
awesome to be a
friend.
game that they would make a little bit longer and whatever,
Oh.
but they would just mess it up.
Gunstar Heroes already looks amazing.
I know.
In terms of like a 2D.
I'm just thinking of like random games that would be cool for but they like
Can you
also
really
okay. Shadow of the Colossus is one that I think would be an awesome like remake, like because they could make it like much bigger, you know.
Do you remember how they made a remake of it for PS4?
Well, but that's an HD retexture. I'm talking about like a new Shadow of the Colossus type game.
I think they. I mean, it's almost one by one, but I think they did remake pretty much everything.
Well, then maybe not. You know, it'd be a cool one. Like Doom or Doom 2. Like if they just took the original levels and just made it like the Doom 2020 graphics or whatever. That'd be pretty fun.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't release that as a full $60 game, but that'd be pretty dope.
But also at the same time, like Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal already exist, so it's like it'd be cool in terms of like nostalgia, but like that'd be like the only selling point because
Yeah.
Doom Eternal and Doom 2016 are already amazing.
I still
games.
think my best answer is Clock Tower.
Yeah.
I think that would actually work kind of well. And for horror game fans, like I played Nightcry and kind of enjoyed it, and that game sucks. Like it objectively
Yeah.
sucks.
I just want to see like a pretty good like AA or AAA is pretty much a pipe dream at this point for horror. Like until like weird stuff like Until Dawn comes out once every 5 years. But
And the only reason that worked is it's a movie game.
yeah. Ain't gonna be like more graphics for the PS4 crowd.
I was waiting because for the PS1, the PS2, and even the PS3 to a lesser extent, horror games had their zenith at the end of the console cycles. Like Silent Hill came out in '99, very late in the system's life. And many other examples. Fatal Frames came out late in the system's life of the PS2. So I'm like still waiting for like all these horror games to come out for PS4, and I'm like, it's just we're done. Horror games are just an indie thing now, like or they're VR, which is an indie thing anyway. So like literally like the only way I can play horror games is like Blair Witch on the PC. You know, like that's it. Like just random like Nightcry, Remothered. They're all indie titles. Like even
Okay.
Silent Hills was dropped.
So coming up is the weirdest minigame of all time. I do not know why they added this. It is so weird, and you shoot shells, or don't shoot them. You slash shells, and you do it 10 times. And I do not understand why they added this. It is the most boring thing in the world, and they had to code this. Anyway, continue.
Let's see that one more time, uninterrupted. Based.
Oh yeah, we were talking about how horror games are dead.
Yeah, I mean they just are. I mean on
Horror movies are basically dead,
on
too.
PC, they're fine. Like there's plenty of just random stuff on Steam. I want to play Soma, S-O-M-A. Like I've heard really good things about that. There's a lot of them, but like for console, it's just like they're not releasing them because the only stuff that can be released anymore is 50-hour epics, you know? Like Red Dead's and stuff like that. Like horror games aren't meant to be 25 hours long, and all people would do is complain about them, you know? Whereas if you release them on Steam for 20, 30 bucks, it's like, well, whatever, but like actually printing it is like not a thing. Which sucks.
Isn't this fun? Isn't this minigame fun?
Cool.
It's the same thing 10 times. Except the 10th one has a weird camera angle.
Great.
Even horror movies are like, Do you want to watch found footage? No.
Yeah.
Do you want to watch jump scare?
I will say once in a while they still have something that reinvents the wheel. Like, that Heredity movie from a couple years ago is, like, so freaking ridiculous that, like, I literally...
I've heard people talk about it.
Ash watched it, and she told me about this one scene.
Alright, let's get this. What? I pushed X!
Oh, do you have to do it again?
No.
Oh.
It's just like, you hit most of them, and you get a slightly worse item.
She told me about this one scene, and I was like, I will never watch this movie. It was, like, that bad. Imagine explaining... also, one came out this year called Midsummer. It's like a cult thing, but the cool thing about that one is it's, like, very bright. It, like, all takes place during the day, and, like, Norway or whatever. And, like, my favorite horror movie of all time is, like, Cabin in the Woods, which completely redoes the entire, horror genre. But, like, besides that, it's like, yeah, it's just over and over again, like, the same friggin' stuff.
So here's a weird thing that I didn't really explain the first time. So you have these green, like, glowing spots, and if you check them before this timer starts running, Zach says, I don't have any time to look at this. Oh, I actually had to look at them at first. Well, it doesn't really matter. But you get a couple extra items, like a Phoenix Down and an Elixir, if you look at them beforehand. But he'll be like, I can't pick these up because I don't have any time. But when you look at them now, you pick them up as you're running a timer of the entire town getting bombarded by Shinra. So, like, you think of the logic of it and you're like, what is happening?
I think, as Trevor said, the best things for remakes are definitely early 3D games, because that's the games that, like, were most affected by, like, a breach in technology.
And I feel
Clock
like...
Tower, a Resident Evil 1 or 2 or whatever, like... Once you get to PS2 and PS3, like, if someone's like, remake, I don't know, say Silent Hill 2, for example, it's like, why? Why would you have to remake that? Like, PS2 games are fine.
So Angeal just killed his mother.
Why?
This character is all over the place. Daily reminder that the Buster Sword killed the wielder's mother, and this is canon now. Do you like the Buster Sword better?
Can the sun.
With this paper thin character.
I told you. You can't live on that side anymore.
Me. Does he have a nose ring?
I didn't notice that.
Rewind it back, lads. Show us a close-up of
My
that
friend,
weirdo.
Do you fly away now? To a world that abhors you and I?
Shut up!
All that awaits you
Shut up! I'm warning
is a
you!
somber morrow. No matter where.
I guess not.
the winds may blow.
That one scene made it look like he had, like, a septum ring for some
It
reason.
might have been like some graphical glitch.
Yeah.
Are you
I was just like, okay, why? Like, that would be out of character for FF games.
I will say that overall, there's a couple hiccups, but the emulator PPSSPP is very good.
Oh, yeah.
Because this computer is not the greatest, and emulation always requires much more resources than you think, because it has to do stuff.
Essentially, what? Create, like, a system, I guess.
Yeah, it has to, like, reproduce, like, the exact hardware that, like, the PSP does, and, like, you basically run it in non-native hardware. So it's always worse.
Dude, I remember when even SNES emulation wasn't, like, perfect.
Yeah. And, like, it's crazy to think that this PSP emulator is way better than an N64 emulator.
I was gonna say, is N64 still, like, broken as heck?
It's still bad.
Wow. Some games I remember on emulation were, like, not even possible to play. And it wasn't the ROM, it was just, like, literally... I remember Harvest Moon 64, like, you just could not emulate. Now, we're talking probably 10 years ago, but, like, it's still super funny. Even back then, it was 10 years since the 64 came out, you know? Is GameCube still... No, GameCube has gotten a pretty good one.
Yeah, GameCube and Wii emulation is done by... I think it's just called Dolphin, and that emulator is very good.
But you probably need a awesome PC.
As far as I'm aware... Okay, what's gonna happen here? Bahamut is off screen. I guess I'm just gonna attack him anyway.
Concentrate.
That's cool. I actually got a pretty good one.
Nice. Remember Bahamut? So, N64 is probably still the worst one, right? I remember PS1's pretty good. PS2's funky, right? Like,
Yeah.
PS2 is kind of weird.
I mean, it makes sense why N64 and PS2 emulation is bad, because they really designed them in a very interesting way, especially the PS2. Basically, Sony developed the architecture to be pretty complicated to code on, which is why, like, there's a lot of games that come off of PS2, and when it gets ported to other systems, like, those ports are, like, worse, or they just don't bother, and they just make it exclusive to the PS2. So, like, you have that, and also the complete market dominance that the PS2 had, and it's, like, no wonder that system was just so popular.
Well, it's like PS3. 360, people only, like, develop games for 360 for multiplats, and then they would move them, port them over to PS3, and PS3 always looked worse. Like, 360 did literally 1080p, and PS3 was like, nah, 720. Which is, like, funny, but also PS3 was built like a weirdo.
Yeah, PS3 was, so Sony was riding high on the PS2 success and how funky that architecture was. And they're like, okay, let's just make the PS3 also hard to code for. But then they chose, like, the weirdest parts in the world. And at the time, they had actual competition with the 360 having a year head start. And, yeah, it really bit Sony's butt. And, I think that's a major reason why the PS4 just used, like, regular, like, PC architecture that, like, the Xbox One also uses. So it's just so much easier to develop for.
I think the PS3 is by far the weakest of Sony's systems. And I'm literally even including PSP. Like, PS3, when I look back on it,
Well,
I'm, like, very underwhelmed.
If you're including portables, definitely the Vita's the worst, by far.
Yeah, except for, like, it's a strong system. But, yeah.
So I want to say that I hate the PS4 the most. But I think there's more games on it that I want to play. And it's especially bad because, like, all the good games that were on PS3 that are exclusives usually got ported to the PS4.
Yeah.
So it's, like, hard to be like, oh, it came out on PS3 first, because who cares anymore?
I feel like the PS4 has way more, like, decent games.
I'm just salty about the PS4 removing so much stuff and then forcing paid online. I hate Sony's business strategies so much. Dude, the first time I fought this, he did Mega Flare one time.
Paste. Oh, one hit.
One hit. Like, I don't want to watch that 30-minute FMV again.
Gibbs summon materia.
Yeah, we already have Bahamut.
Casually scroll. Heh.
Scenes aren't meant to be used like this. What happened to dreams and honor?
We are.
Oh. Are you ready, Spencer, for this
Monsters.
cutscene? Are you ready? Do you remember Sephiroth?
No. Yes.
Remember the one-winged angel? Oh my god, the plot of
We
this
have
game is so
neither
bad.
dreams
This
nor honor.
piano music, I'm getting ready for it to be like that Kanye song, All of the Lights. Like, I'm just getting ready for it. All of the lights. Like, bring it on. Da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Yes. Oh, in the freaking remake, again, I'm only like an hour in, so I'm not giving anything away. When you like I think a feather falls in Cloud's hand or something like that, or you pick it up, I was like, God. I like almost put it down for the day. At that point, I was like, I can't deal with the fact that Sephiroth is gonna be like every second of this game for like however many hours. I'm like, I can't deal with it.
So I will say that on the good side is that he doesn't show up that much. On the bad side, it would be spoiler territory.
Yeah, I don't want. Please, no. It's weird not to want to know about spoilers for a remake, but I feel like it's different enough that, like, it will be... No! See ya.
All I say is prepare your butt for the last 2 hours. Just prepare them.
Angio.
Yeah, I mean, I'm prepared. I go into literally every video game nowadays prepared to be disappointed. Like, I know that sounds like a really negative thing, but...
I don't know...
I went into the FF7, or the Resident Evil 3 remake, ready to be disappointed, and I was. I don't know. And then if I'm not disappointed, it's great. But if I go in prepared to be
I
disappointed...
wouldn't necessarily say that it will be
The war's
automatically
over.
negative.
Everyone's
I don't want to say anything.
As for me,
That sword represents our
Give
family's
Buster
honor.
sword.
You're a little more important than my sword.
Hey, remember these events that happened 30 minutes ago?
But just a little.
Oh, I remember that before he killed his mom.
Also, did you notice that entire flashback was supposed to be about NGL, but it was actually about the Buster Sword? I hope people noticed that.
Zach here.
It's been a while, Zach.
I've heard about you,
Sephiroth.
Zach.
Come to Lazard.
Oh, all right.
Okay, I want to imagine Sephiroth pulling out a flip phone and pulling it out and be like, dial down now. Hey.
Also-
Hey, Zach, what's up?
It's pretty funny. I guess Nomura really likes modern technology, but in the remake they have smartphones, and they pull out like a smartphone. And then you look at this game, they're pulling out cell phones, which are like flip phones, which are really
God.
popular. And it's like unfortunate because like in like 10 or 20 years, you're gonna go back to the remake and be like, "Ooh, smartphones, those are outdated. This looks stupid."
Hey, it's Sephiroth. Who? Sephiroth. Hey, what are you doing? Nothing. Hey, come to Lazard's room. Okay. Like, dang. All right, more next time, lads. Buy sheets and yeah, see ya.